Right, okay. You are tuned to BBC London 94.9 with me, Big George, and John Kaponi's in to do the pay review. Good morning, John.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm very well. Let's get straight into it because we can have some preamble later on, but we've got to get going. So, right, John, you got one of those really, tabloid Financial Times stories here about finance. Go on.
Well, okay.
I'm going to try and stay away.
It's a front-page splash in the Financial Times that there's doubt about the Bank of England's, the Bank of England's inflation credentials. So it's saying that all of the time, we've been given this propaganda by the government that the bank...
It's a shark! Shark attack!
Get him out, Ollie, man. What's going on? He's gone into convulsions.
Mind you, I don't know what I prefer, getting attacked by the shark or listening to this story.
It's 3:45 in the morning, we're talking about the Bank of England's inflation.
Yeah, I don't want to. Where's that shark?
Right.
I can't believe it.
Anyway, just a very, very quick one, so we don't bore everyone to death now.
No, too late.
The Bank of England's inflation credentials, it's saying in the FT, have been blown to smithereens. It's saying that...
Blown to smithereens? Where does it say that?
Alright, I just put it in very language.
No, right. Now, if it said that in the paper,
okay,
I'd be happy. If the Financial Times said that their projections have been blown to smithereens, then it would perk me up.
Well, it's saying here that Ed Balls, who said...
That's a comedy name, whichever way you look at it, isn't it?
He's a crazy dude, isn't he, Ed Balls? Ed Balls, who used to be at the Treasury before, did say previously that the most important test of the government's monetary policy in the Bank of England is its sort of ability to project inflation, the cost of living, basically. Right. Now, at the moment, we keep getting this thing about 2.75%, or it's under 3, or it's around 3%. We all know it's a lot of rubbish. We all know
petrol's gone up by about 27% in the last year.
And it's saying now that because investors in the stock market are moving towards things like gold and investing in oil and investing in commodities. Which
do you know what I think they should do? Anybody who wants to invest in that, they should make them sing the Spandau Ballet song. Gold, always believe it. Do you want to sing that, John?
I'm trying to be serious.
I'm trying to be serious. I'm trying to lighten the mood because it's doom and gloom. And the trouble is, and there's nothing we can do about this, is there?
The bigger picture of the government's economic policy.
There's nothing we can do about this, is there?
No, we
can't.
So
you're just bringing us down, aren't you?
Just bringing us down.
You're just bringing us down. Why is it you're not giving us a good news story about Christina Aguilera is going to do a duet with Britney or a mud wrestle?
There's a brilliant video that's on the internet now.
Is there? What's that?
It's about her with her tabloid paparazzi boyfriend, former boyfriend, doing the deed.
There's also, is that right?
Yeah.
MPs of they're backing the creation of human animal embryos.
Yeah, it's in the Times. It's all sort of like all over the press today. This is a very complex story, but what the actual bill in the House of Commons last night was about was an amendment to ban all admixed embryos, and it was actually defeated by 336 votes to 176. Well, what it means is that scientists will now be able to and it's scientists at King's College in London that are included in this. They'll be allowed to continue their research in embryos that include human and animal sort of embryos, so they can try and combat Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Now, it's a very controversial bill because we're the only country in the European Union that's actually allowed this to go ahead. Right. Right. So it's a very sort of it's making the British Parliament stand out. In terms of the political ramifications, Gordon Brown has really put a lot of political capital onto this, so he's backed it and said, I fully support sort of stem cell research and embryo research because it's the way forward to try and combat these serious diseases. But there's been a lot of objections by members of his own cabinet.
I mean, it's interesting that Gordon Brown and David Cameron voted together, whereas Ruth Kelly, one of the high-profile ministers, she voted against it.
We've got the list of people that backed it. So in terms of the actual cabinet, we've got Des Brown, Ruth Kelly, and Paul Murphy, who were in favour of the amendment. And then you had the people that actually supported it were Ed Balls, Douglas Alexander, Hazel Blears, Gordon Brown, the Prime Minister supported it, Andy Burnham, Yvette Cooper. So you had all the big heavyweights, but there is certain
It was almost 2 to 1 though, wasn't it? It was almost 2 to 1.
But
so it was a resounding majority that rejected
it's
the
a
amendment.
Catholic vote within the cabinet. I mean, it's now quite a sectarian, religious thing now.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that more free votes are where it needs to go.
Yeah.
I hate the party whip. You must vote this way.
I mean, it's such an important issue in terms of, you know, the Roman Catholics have put a lot of emphasis on it, and I think even the Cardinal, you know, the head of the Catholic Church in the UK, has actually briefed Catholic MPs and Catholic ministers about the whole issue, because the Catholic Church is against stem cell research, and then the whole...
to me, this is a matter that should be a national debate. This should be a national referendum.
You know, this is a big debate, but in terms of the way forward now, in terms of the actual how, you know, this addresses the real problem, which is how do we combat Parkinson's, how do we deal with Alzheimer's. I think it's a positive step. You know, if you look at it on a sort of religious basis,
it's tampering with life.
It blinds you because it's not really addressing the practical issues facing a lot of people out there at the moment.
But then some people say that medical science has gone far too far. You know, we shouldn't be able to replace a heart. If your heart is dodgy, then you should live with it until it passes out. We shouldn't be spending, you know, 30 or 40, 50,000 pounds more than that every time we replace someone's heart. We shouldn't be spending £1 million on someone's lifetime care if they've got kidney trouble. You know, other people say that we're developing too much drugs. We don't need these things. We didn't have them. You know, like we haven't had them for the majority of our history.
Yes.
And you know, like how far can science go to? Because the one thing that Jeffrey, one of our callers, put forward is that the people that will benefit from this immediately are the scientists who will get their £2,000 a week wages.
Yes, it will be the scientists
for years. They'll spend years.
Yes, but you know, the point here is that you know, if we don't invest in science and we don't really research how the source of the problems, the source of these, you know, very serious diseases, and you know, now we've got the ability to use embryos and stem cell research to try and combat these very, very, you know, damaging diseases. Then how do we overcome them? Because it, you know, if we look at it on an economic point of view as well, the cost to the NHS as well for treatment of these, you know, Parkinson's and sort of Alzheimer's is a very expensive treatment process. Now, if we can deal with these through...
But can you imagine the price of anything that comes from this?
It will be very expensive initially, but if the scientists and people who are now spearheading the research can find a cure that can be mass produced and used in a way which is accessible to most people, you know, sort of people that use the NHS, it may well be a cost-effective way of doing it. But initially, it is a step forward. It is a way of addressing these serious medical problems, but it does have very serious ethical, you know, dilemmas for the politicians and the people in the church as well, because it does have ramifications here on a religious and a political basis.
Certainly does. Right, Ollie. If anybody wants to call up, you can take their number and then you'll call them back, you know, in between all those bits and pieces. Or if you're out in YouTube land, you can always email biggeorge@bbc.co.uk. That's Big George, all one word, at bbc.co.uk. Ollie, punch the jingle. Here we go.
There we are. Lovely chocolate.